You people think you can just buy your way into anywhere, don't you? Flight attendant Bethany Miller's face was flushed with rage. She deliberately tilted the crystal glass. Orange juice cascaded down Dr. Zara Washington's pristine white silk blouse. There. Now you look like you belong somewhere else. Zara's hand moved to dab the spreading stain. The overhead light caught her wedding ring, a flawless 10-carat diamond. Around them, 12 first-class passengers shifted uncomfortably. Someone's phone camera angled toward the scene. The orange juice pooled on the leather armrest. Zara's dark eyes met Bethany's blue ones with quiet steel. I need something to clean this, Zara said softly, gesturing to the spreading orange stain. Bethany's laugh was sharp as broken glass. Have you ever been marked so visibly that everyone could see your humiliation from across the room? T-minus 47 minutes to landing. Bethany's eyes gleamed with satisfaction as she surveyed the orange stain spreading across Zara's blouse. The sweet citrus smell hung in the cabin air like evidence of her handiwork. Actually, there's a spillage fee, Bethany announced, her voice carrying to the other passengers. $150 for beverage damage to first-class leather. She pulled out a tablet, fingers dancing across the screen with practiced efficiency. Company policy. Immediate payment required, or we'll need to relocate you to an available seat in coach. Zara remained perfectly still, her composure unshaken despite the orange juice soaking through the expensive silk. I didn't spill anything. Ma'am, I witnessed you grab the glass aggressively. Bethany's voice rose just enough for nearby passengers to hear. The orange juice accident was caused by your sudden movement. In seat 2A, Maya Chen's fingers flew across her phone screen. The tech blogger had been live-streaming her business trip when the incident started. Now her viewer count was climbing. 847, 1,203, 1,891. The comment section exploded with outrage. This is insane, Maya whispered to her camera. The flight attendant just poured orange juice on this woman, and now she's charging her for it. Dr. Robert Kim, Harvard sociology professor in seat 3B, carefully documented the exchange in his notebook. His wife Sarah nudged him, pointing at the scene with concerned eyes. In seat 1C, corporate lawyer Linda Santos discreetly activated her phone's voice recorder. Bethany returned with a metal pitcher, still half full of orange juice. She set it on Zara's tray table with deliberate force, orange droplets splashing onto Zara's expensive Hermes bag. Let me demonstrate how the spill occurred, Bethany said loudly. For insurance purposes. She lifted the pitcher slightly, letting a few more orange drops fall onto Zara's belongings. See how the orange sticks to expensive materials? That's what happens when people reach above their station. Zara's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. She reached for her phone to call for assistance, but orange residue on her hands made the screen difficult to navigate. As she wiped her fingers clean, a business card slipped from her purse onto the floor. Bethany was too focused on her performance to notice. Orange juice builds character, she continued. Maybe you'll appreciate the lesson. Ma'am, Zara said quietly, still cleaning orange juice from her hands. I'd like to speak with your supervisor. I am handling this situation appropriately. Bethany's voice carried a note of triumph. First-class passengers are expected to maintain certain standards. The orange proves you don't understand those standards. In the background, Maya's live stream had reached 2,847 viewers. Comments flooded the screen. This is racism! Sue them! What airline is this? The hashtag #OrangeJustice began trending in real time. Tom Bradley, a senior executive at Horizon Airlines, Skyline Air's main competitor, looked up from his laptop in seat 4A. He'd been reviewing quarterly reports when the commotion started. Now he watched with the analytical eye of someone who understood airline liability. His face grew increasingly grim as he observed Bethany's behavior. Excuse me, Tom interjected carefully. Perhaps we could resolve this quietly? Bethany whirled around, her anger finding a new target. Sir, Unless you're willing to pay this passenger's fees, I need you to stay in your seat. I'm just suggesting. Orange people. Orange problems, Bethany snapped, gesturing at the stain on Zara's blouse. Some passengers create messes wherever they go. The cabin fell silent. Even the engine noise seemed muted. Linda Santos stopped pretending to read her magazine, her lawyer instincts fully activated. Dr. Kim's pen paused mid-sentence. Maya's viewer count hit 3,456. Zara's phone buzzed with an incoming text. The screen, still slightly sticky with orange residue, displayed a message preview. Board meeting moved to 3 p.m. PST DEI initiative launch. As she wiped the screen clean, another notification appeared. TechFlow Executive Transport. Your return flight is ready when you land. Bethany noticed Zara's phone activity and interpreted it as defiance. Ma'am, I need to see your credit card now. First-class tickets can be transferred these days. Transferred from whom? Zara asked, her voice steady. Well, you know. Bethany's smile was poisonous. Employers, benefactors, we see it all the time. People like you getting access to places they can't actually afford. The business card lay forgotten on the cabin floor between their feet. The orange-stained surface made parts of the text visible through the translucent juice. Z. Washington, Chief Innovation Officer. Tom Bradley's eyes tracked to the fallen card. He squinted, trying to read the partially obscured company logo. The design looked familiar, but orange droplets covered the critical details. I purchased this ticket legally, Zara said, her tone remaining calm despite the escalating insults. With whose money, though? Bethany pressed. That's what we need to establish. Orange juice doesn't lie. It shows true colors. Maya's live stream viewers were now sharing screenshots across social media platforms. Hashtag Skyline Air Discrimination began trending alongside hashtag Orange Justice. Corporate communications teams at major airlines started monitoring the situation. The overhead speaker crackled to life. Ladies and gentlemen, we've begun our descent into Los Angeles. Flight attendants, please prepare for landing procedures. T-minus 43 minutes to landing. Bethany glanced at her watch, her expression shifting to one of urgency. Ma'am, we need to resolve this payment issue before landing. Security has been notified about the disturbance. Zara's wedding ring caught the overhead light as she finally managed to clean her phone screen completely. The massive diamond sparkled like a beacon, but Bethany was too focused on her performance to notice the significance. The orange juice continued to pool on the leather armrest, each drop a reminder of how quickly a routine flight had transformed into something much more dangerous. For Bethany Miller, at least. T-minus 38 minutes to landing. The intercom crackled with static. Flight attendant Miller to the galley, please. Supervisor requested. Bethany's face lit up with vindication. She smoothed her uniform and picked up the orange juice pitcher, carrying it like evidence to a trial. Don't go anywhere, she told Zara with mock sweetness. Within minutes, Flight Supervisor Janet Hayes emerged from the galley, her silver hair pulled into a severe bun. At 52, Hayes had seen every type of passenger complaint imaginable. Her expression was all business as she approached seat 2B. Ma'am, I understand there's been an incident, Hayes said, not bothering to introduce herself, her eyes immediately fixed on the orange stain spreading across Zara's white blouse. This passenger became aggressive during beverage service, Bethany interjected before Zara could speak. She grabbed the glass and spilled orange juice everywhere. Now she's refusing to pay the damage fees. Hayes examined the orange-stained leather seat with the efficiency of a claims adjuster. This citrus damage violates our premium cabin protection policy. I'm afraid the fee has increased to $500. Maya's live stream viewer count had exploded to 8,847. Comments streamed past faster than she could read. This is insane! Call the news! Boycott Skyline Air! Her hands trembled slightly as she held the phone steady. $500 for what? Zara asked, her voice still remarkably calm. Citrus acid treatment for leather restoration, Hayes replied without missing a beat. Plus administrative fees for the incident report. Our premium cabin seats cost $8,000 each to replace. Dr. Kim leaned forward in his seat, his academic instincts taking over. Excuse me, but I witnessed the entire event. The flight attendant deliberately poured... Sir, please remain in your seat. Hayes cut him off sharply. This doesn't concern you. Actually, it does. Dr. Kim pulled out his Harvard faculty ID. I'm documenting this for research on discriminatory practices in service industries. Hayes's expression hardened. Are you recording this conversation? Taking notes, Dr. Kim replied evenly. It's a public space. Meanwhile, Tom Bradley had quietly retrieved Zara's fallen business card. Through the orange stains, he could now make out more of the text. Tech Flow Industries. His face went pale as recognition dawned. He quickly Googled the company on his phone, his fingers moving with urgent precision. The search results made his stomach drop. Tech Flow Industries, $47 billion annual revenue, major supplier to the airline industry. Current contracts with... He scrolled down. Skyline Air. Oh, God, he whispered. Bethany returned with a spray bottle and cloth, ostensibly to demonstrate the cleaning process. Instead, she made the situation worse, using the orange-scented cleaner to show how the stain had set into the expensive fabric. See how deep the orange penetrates? She said to Hayes, loud enough for other passengers to hear. This is why we have strict policies about people who don't understand first-class etiquette. People like what? Linda Santos finally spoke up from seat 1C. Her voice carried the authority of someone accustomed to courtrooms. Well, Bethany hesitated for just a moment. People who aren't familiar with premium service expectations. You mean black people, Linda said flatly. The cabin temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. Even the engine noise felt muted. I never said that, Bethany protested, but her voice had lost its confident edge. You didn't have to, Linda replied, holding up her phone. I've been recording this entire interaction, including your comment about orange people, orange problems. Hayes stepped in quickly. Ma'am, we need to resolve this payment issue before landing. I've already contacted LAX security about the disturbance. What disturbance? Zara asked quietly. Refusing to pay legitimate fees, creating a disruption in premium cabins, potential theft of services, Hayes rattled off. Security will be waiting at Gate 47B. Maya's live stream chat was in complete chaos. Viewer count, 12,456. The hashtags #OrangeJustice and #Skyline Air Discrimination was now trending nationally. Screenshots of Bethany's behavior were being shared across Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. This is going viral, Maya whispered to her camera. 12,000 people are watching this woman get discriminated against in real time. Zara's phone buzzed again. Another message appeared on the orange-smudged screen. Emergency board meeting called Discrimination Lawsuit Prep Needed. As she wiped the screen clean, her assistant's name appeared with an incoming call. Jonathan, Tech Flow Assistant. Hayes noticed the phone activity and interpreted it as defiance. Ma'am, you need to put that device away. We're preparing for landing. I need to take this call, Zara said softly. Absolutely not, Bethany jumped in. She's been on that phone this entire time, probably calling her people to cause more problems. Tom Bradley couldn't stay silent any longer. He'd confirmed his worst fears on his company's industry database. TechFlow wasn't just any supplier. They were Skyline Air's largest technology contract, worth billions annually. Excuse me, he called out, his voice tight with professional panic. Can I speak with you privately? He gestured toward Hayes. Sir, please remain seated, Hayes replied dismissively. I work in the airline industry, Tom pressed. This situation is about to become much larger than you realize. Hayes ignored him and turned back to Zara. Ma'am, I need to see your employer verification letter. First-class tickets cost $4,800. Do you have recent pay stubs? The question hung in the cabin air like a challenge. Around them, passengers had stopped pretending to read or work. Everyone was watching, waiting. Zara's phone continued buzzing with messages. The screen showed contact after contact. Darren, husband CEO, board members, emergency, legal team, urgent. With whose money did you purchase this ticket? Hayes continued. We need to establish legitimacy before landing. Maya's live stream had reached 15,203 viewers. The comment section was a river of outrage, with people from across the country tuning in to watch what was rapidly becoming a national incident. In the background, the captain's voice came over the intercom. Flight attendants, please take your seats for descent preparation. T-minus 34 minutes to landing. Hayes glanced at her watch, then back at Zara. Ma'am, we're running out of time. Security is waiting. You can pay the fees now, or this becomes a much bigger problem when we land. Bethany stood behind Hayes with the orange juice pitcher still in her hands, like a weapon she wasn't quite ready to put down. The citrus smell had spread throughout the first-class cabin, marking the territory of their conflict. Tom Bradley was frantically texting his own corporate contacts, trying to reach someone at Skyline Air executive level. His messages grew increasingly urgent. Stop, emergency, passenger in 2B, check TechFlow contract, stop immediately. But the Wi-Fi signal was weak at cruising altitude, and his messages weren't getting through. Zara looked down at her orange-stained blouse, then at the business card Tom Bradley was holding, then at her phone screen full of missed calls from people whose names would change everything. The point of no return was approaching fast, for everyone involved. T-minus 29 minutes to landing. Zara looked at her orange-stained phone screen, then at the faces surrounding her. Bethany's smug satisfaction. Hayes's bureaucratic coldness, the passengers' mix of outrage and curiosity. She wiped the citrus residue from her screen with deliberate precision. I need to make a phone call, she said quietly. Ma'am, phone calls are restricted during descent, Hayes said firmly. This one isn't. Zara's voice carried a new undertone, not louder but commanding. She dialed a number and tapped the speaker. The entire cabin could hear the ringtone. TechFlow Industries, CEO office, this is Jonathan speaking. The effect was immediate. Tom Bradley dropped his coffee cup, ceramic shattering against his tray. Maya's live stream chat exploded, viewer count climbing past 23,000. Hayes and Bethany exchanged uncertain glances, confidence draining from their faces. Jonathan, it's Dr. Washington, Zara said calmly. I'm calling from Skyline Air Flight 447. There's been an orange juice incident. Orange juice, ma'am? Jonathan's professional voice carried clearly through the speakers. Are you referring to beverage service quality? No, Jonathan. I'm referring to assault. The word hung in the air like a bomb. Several passengers gasped. Maya's hand trembled as she held her phone steady, live stream capturing every moment. I see. Jonathan's tone shifted to crisis mode. Should I pull up our beverage service contracts? Bethany's face had gone white. What contracts? Zara's eyes never left the flight attendant's face. Jonathan, please tell everyone which company supplies orange juice for Skyline Air flights. TechFlow's subsidiary, Citrus Tech Industries, supplies all beverage products for Skyline Air's fleet, Jonathan replied matter-of-factly. Annual contract value, $47 million. Tom Bradley's worst fears materialized. He gripped his armrest, knuckles white. The implications crashed over him like a tsunami. 47 million? Dr. Kim whispered, pen hovering over his notebook. And what does our contract specify about product misuse? Zara continued, voice steady as granite. Contract Section 12B clearly states that any documented misuse of TechFlow products for discriminatory purposes results in immediate contract review and potential termination. Jonathan read with legal precision. Maya's live stream hit 28,542 viewers. Chat moved too fast to read capital letters and fire emojis. Hashtag TechFlowRevenge trended alongside hashtag OrangeJustice. Screenshots of Bethany's shocked face spread across Twitter. Hayes found her voice, though it cracked. Dr. Washington, perhaps we can discuss this privately. No, Zara interrupted softly. Public discrimination requires public resolution. Jonathan, how much revenue does Skyline Air generate from our technology contracts? The pause was devastating. Tom Bradley calculated quarterly reports in his head, realizing the magnitude about to be revealed. Main technology contract, $2.34 billion annually. Entertainment systems on 847 aircraft, representing 94% of their fleet. The cabin fell silent, except for engine noise and Maya's notification sounds. Even economy flight attendants stopped preparations to listen. Dr. Kim stopped taking notes, pen frozen. Linda Santos stopped recording. She was witnessing legal history. This would be studied in law schools for decades. And the beverage contract specifics? Zara prompted. $47 million annually for all citrus products, juices, and beverages. Exclusive partnership with 18-month non-compete clause. No other supplier can provide citrus products during the contract term. Bethany stared at the orange juice pitcher like it had become a venomous snake. The irony felt scripted by the universe. So to clarify, Zara said, voice calm but carrying authority, Skyline Air depends on TechFlow for $2.387 billion in annual revenue. Correct, Dr. Washington. That represents 31% of Skyline Air's total revenue stream. Tom Bradley calculated frantically. Skyline Air's profit margin was only 3.2%. Losing TechFlow would be extinction level for the company. Jonathan, please read Contract Clause 12B for our audience of... Zara glanced at Maya's phone. 31,000 people. Certainly. Any documented discrimination incident involving TechFlow products as weapons by partner airline staff results in immediate contract review. Upon video confirmation, client has 30 days to implement corrective measures or face contract termination without penalty compensation. Maya whispered to her live stream. 31,000 people are watching the most expensive orange juice spill in aviation history. Comments were chaotic. She owns the orange juice company. This is insane. Bethany committed corporate suicide. Karen met her match. Hayes stepped forward desperately. Dr. Washington, surely we can resolve this misunderstanding through proper channels. What misunderstanding? Zara asked, tone sharp as a scalpel. Your employee deliberately poured orange juice from my company onto me while making racist comments. We have video evidence from multiple sources. She gestured toward Maya's phone, Linda's recorder, Dr. Kim's notes. 31,000 people witnessed it live. Footage is spreading across every major platform. Tom Bradley couldn't stay silent. Ma'am, he called to Hayes, voice tight with panic. I'm Tom Bradley, Senior VP at Horizon Airlines. You need to stop this. This will destroy your company. Sir, please remain seated, Hayes began weakly. No, you don't understand, Tom interrupted, standing despite dissent prep. I've been trying to warn you. TechFlow isn't just any supplier. They're integrated into everything entertainment, Wi-Fi, booking, maintenance, crew scheduling. You can't replace them. Zara smiled slightly, expression beautiful and terrifying. Tom is correct. Our integration runs so deep that contract termination would ground Skyline Air's fleet for 18 months while they source alternatives. That's impossible, Hayes protested, voice losing conviction. Jonathan, what's the industry timeline for replacing integrated airline technology? 12 to 24 months, depending on complexity. Skyline Air's integration is comprehensive. They'd face a longer timeline. Bethany found her voice, barely a whisper. You own the orange juice company? Citrus Tech is wholly owned, Zara confirmed with deadly calm. We own orchards in Florida and California, processing facilities in Texas, distribution across the United States. Every orange that becomes juice on this airline comes from trees we planted. The irony was complete divine justice. Let me clarify, Zara continued, voice cutting through the cabin. Your employee attacked me with orange juice from my orchards, processed in my facilities, delivered through my network, served on my entertainment systems, while flying on technology my company designed. Dr. Kim wrote furiously. This was the business case study of the decade. But I haven't told you the most interesting part, Zara said, reaching for her phone again. Hayes looked faint. There's more? Jonathan, conference in my husband. Tom Bradley's blood turned to ice. He'd seen something about TechFlow's ownership structure but been too focused on supplier relationships. 2 rings, then a warm male voice. Hey babe, how's the flight? Darren, it's been educational. Can you tell everyone what Meridian Capital's relationship is with Skyline Air? Pause as Darren processed the unusual request. Meridian Capital? We're their primary investor. We hold 23% of their stock through our aviation portfolio. Around $890 million. Why are you on speaker? The final puzzle piece clicked with nuclear force. Maya's count hit 42,176. Comments moved too fast to read. Screenshots spread across Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. # Skyline Air meltdown trended worldwide. So to summarize, Zara said, voice impossibly calm, your employees used orange juice from my company to assault me, demanded payment for damage they caused, threatened arrest, all while flying on technology my company provides, funded by my husband's firm. Silence so complete the cabin pressure seemed to drop. Bethany set down the pitcher like radioactive waste. Hayes opened her mouth, closed it. No words. Her training never covered passengers who owned supply chains, technology, and held financial stakes. Tom Bradley buried his face. This will be studied in business schools for 50 years. The day a flight attendant discriminated against someone who owned the entire ecosystem. Dr. Washington, Hayes managed, voice barely audible. There's been a terrible misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, Zara replied, checking her watch. Just consequences. 15 minutes until landing. I suggest we use them wisely. The countdown to corporate catastrophe had begun. Dr. Zara Washington held every card in the deck. T-minus 15 minutes to landing. The silence stretched like a taut wire ready to snap. Zara Washington sat calmly in her orange-stained blouse, looking like a queen holding court at 35,000 feet. Around her, the first-class cabin had transformed into a corporate battlefield where billions of dollars hung in the balance. Dr. Washington, Hayes finally managed, her voice cracking under the enormous pressure. Perhaps we can reach some kind of reasonable arrangement. An arrangement? Zara's eyebrows rose slightly, her tone deceptively calm. You mean after your employee assaulted me with my own products while your staff threatened me with arrest for being a victim? Maya's live stream had reached 52,847 viewers and was climbing rapidly. The chat was absolute chaos, with comments flying past faster than human eyes could possibly track. # Orange Justice Showdown was trending globally alongside corporate karma and the Power Play Airlines. Jonathan, Zara said into her phone with crystalline clarity, please pull up the exact termination procedures for our comprehensive contracts. Certainly, Dr. Washington. For discrimination violations with documented video evidence, we can invoke immediate suspension of all services pending investigation. Full termination requires 30 days' notice, but during suspension periods, no TechFlow products or services would be available to the client. Tom Bradley stood up abruptly, his 23 years of airline expertise kicking into full overdrive. Ma'am, do you understand what suspension means? No entertainment systems, no Wi-Fi infrastructure, no booking platform, No maintenance software, no crew scheduling. Skyline Air would have to ground their entire fleet within hours. Bethany was staring at her hands as if the orange juice residue had turned them into evidence of corporate murder. I didn't know she was... You didn't know what? Zara interrupted with surgical precision. Do those actions have consequences? That the person you were discriminating against might have actual power? Or that racism is fundamentally wrong regardless of who witnesses it? Dr. Kim scribbled frantically in his notebook, capturing every word for posterity. This was beyond a simple business case study. It was a masterclass in corporate leverage and social justice intersecting in real time. Let me make the mathematics very simple for everyone, Zara continued, her voice cutting through the cabin noise like a precision blade. Jonathan, what's Skyline Air's average daily revenue? Approximately $6.7 million per day in normal operations, Dr. Washington. And if they're completely grounded, zero revenue while maintaining full operational costs. Estimated daily losses of $12.3 million, including passenger compensation, crew costs, facility maintenance, and regulatory penalties. Hayes was doing rapid calculations in her head, her face growing paler by the second. 12 million per day? Per day, Zara confirmed with deadly calm. Now, Ms. Hayes, let's discuss your options clearly. Option A, complete resolution and reform. She held up one manicured finger. Public apology from Ms. Miller, recorded and broadcast on all company platforms. Immediate termination of her employment with cause. Mandatory sensitivity training for your entire crew nationwide. $50,000 donation to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. New zero-tolerance discrimination policy implemented fleet-wide with enforcement mechanisms. Bethany's face went completely white. Termination. But I have bills, my apartment, my car payments. You should have considered those financial obligations before weaponizing orange juice against a passenger, Linda Santos interjected sharply. The corporate lawyer had been taking detailed notes throughout the entire incident. You've created massive liability exposure for your employer. Zara held up a second finger with theatrical precision. Option B, legal and financial warfare. TechFlow contracts terminate immediately without transition assistance. Citrus Tech beverage supply ends permanently. No orange juice, no citrus products for 18 months minimum. Your husband's investment firm reviews its position, potentially triggering a massive stock sell-off. Media coverage of discrimination incidents damages brand reputation internationally. Maya whispered urgently to her live stream. 55,000 people watching a corporate execution in real time. This is unprecedented. The stock implications alone, Tom Bradley calculated aloud, his voice heavy with professional dread, could drop Skyline Air's market value by 30 to 40% overnight. That's roughly $4 billion in market capitalization evaporating. Hayes was visibly hyperventilating. $4 billion? Or billion? Conservative estimate, Tom confirmed grimly. Airlines operate on razor-thin profit margins. Public discrimination scandals, especially with comprehensive video evidence, destroy consumer confidence permanently. Recovery takes years, if it happens at all. Zara's phone buzzed with an incoming text message. She read it aloud. That's Darren. He says Meridian Capital's emergency board meeting is in session. They're watching the live stream and discussing immediate portfolio adjustments. The weight of impending corporate doom settled over the cabin like thick fog rolling in from the ocean. Jonathan, Zara continued methodically, what's our exact timeline for contract suspension implementation? I can initiate suspension protocols immediately upon your direct authorization, Dr. Washington. Skyline Air would receive official legal notice within the hour. All services would terminate at midnight Pacific time tonight. Hayes grabbed the seat back in front of her for physical support. Tonight? But we have 300 flights scheduled for tomorrow morning. All grounded indefinitely, Tom Bradley confirmed with grim certainty. Without TechFlow's integrated systems, you can't process bookings, manage crew schedules, or run mandatory safety checks. The FAA won't let you fly a single aircraft. Dr. Kim looked up from his extensive notes. This is absolutely unprecedented in business history. I've never witnessed real-time corporate destruction happening with this level of comprehensive documentation. Bethany finally broke down completely. Please, I'm so sorry. I made a terrible mistake. I was having a bad day and I just... You just what? Zara's voice was pure ice. Decided that being black made me an acceptable target for your personal frustrations? I didn't mean it like that. You said you people think you can buy your way anywhere. You poured orange juice on me deliberately. You called it orange people, orange problems. Which specific part wasn't intentional racism? The live stream comments were absolutely brutal. No excuses! Actions have consequences. Corporate karma is beautiful. She's completely done. Hayes stepped forward desperately, sweat visible on her forehead. Dr. Washington, Ms. Miller will be terminated immediately. We'll implement every single change you mentioned. Please don't destroy thousands of innocent jobs over one employee's inexcusable mistake. One employee's mistake? Zara stood up slowly, the orange stain on her expensive blouse catching the cabin light like a battle scar. You personally supported her actions. You demanded payment from me. You threatened me with arrest. You transformed individual discrimination into official company policy. Maya's viewer count hit 61,233 and climbed exponentially. The live stream was being shared across every social media platform simultaneously. Jonathan, prepare the comprehensive termination documents, Zara said with complete calm. Wait! Hayes practically shouted, desperation cracking her voice. What do you want? Name your terms. Anything reasonable. Zara smiled, but it wasn't warm or forgiving. Reasonable? You mean like being treated with basic human dignity during a flight I legally paid for? She sat back down gracefully, an orange juice stain visible to everyone. Here are my terms, completely non-negotiable. First, Ms. Miller terminated immediately with cause. No severance package, no positive references. She's permanently banned from working for any airline that uses TechFlow systems. Bethany sobbed openly, the sound echoing through the cabin. Second, you personally, Ms. Hayes, will complete 40 hours of professional bias training and issue a public video apology acknowledging systematic discrimination in your operations. Hayes nodded frantically. Third, Skyline Air establishes a $1 million fund for discrimination victims. Annual contributions mandatory, monitored by independent auditors. Fourth, independent monitoring board with civil rights organizations, quarterly bias audits of all staff with public reporting. Fifth, body cameras for all crew during passenger interactions, footage automatically reviewed for discriminatory behavior patterns. Tom Bradley was genuinely amazed. These aren't punitive measures, they're comprehensive systemic reforms. Exactly, Zara confirmed. I don't want revenge. I want meaningful change. Real change that protects the next person who doesn't happen to own the airline's supply chain. And if we agree on everything? Hayes asked desperately. Contracts remain in place. Stock price stabilizes. 61,000 witnesses see justice served through accountability, not corporate destruction. Maya held her phone higher. Dr. Washington just gave a masterclass in using power responsibly. The comments exploded. This is how you do it! Justice without destruction. Real leadership. She could have destroyed them, but chose reform. You have 30 seconds to decide, Zara said, checking her diamond watch. Option A, reform and accountability. Option B, corporate extinction. Hayes looked at Bethany, then at the live stream, then at Tom Bradley's horrified face. Option A, she whispered. We choose option A completely. Jonathan, did you record that legal acceptance? Every word, Dr. Washington. Legally binding verbal agreement with 61,000 witnesses. Zara smiled genuinely for the first time since the orange juice incident. Then we have a binding understanding. Ms. Hayes, you have 72 hours to begin implementation. I'll be monitoring progress personally. The cabin erupted in spontaneous applause from passengers. Even economy travelers who had been listening applauded from the back. Maya whispered to her live stream. 62,000 people just witnessed justice served with precision, not vengeance. As the plane began its final descent into Los Angeles, the orange juice stain on Zara's blouse had transformed from a mark of humiliation into a symbol of corporate accountability. Sometimes the most powerful response to discrimination isn't destruction. It's systematic change that protects everyone who comes after you. T-minus 8 minutes to landing. The Boeing 737 descended through the smog-hazed Los Angeles sky as corporate justice concluded at 35,000 feet. Inside the first-class cabin, the aftermath of the most expensive orange juice spill in aviation history was unfolding with surgical precision. Ladies and gentlemen, we're beginning our final approach, the captain's voice crackled over the intercom. Flight attendants, please prepare for landing. But nobody was moving. 67,000 people were still watching Maya's live stream, witnessing corporate accountability in real time. Hayes stood near the galley, frantically typing on her phone. I'm sending immediate termination paperwork to HR. Bethany Miller, effective immediately. Bethany sat slumped in a crew seat, orange juice pitcher beside her like evidence at a crime scene. Her airline career was over. 26 years old, and she'd become the face of workplace discrimination gone viral. Dr. Washington, Hayes called out, voice shaking. The termination is processed. Ms. Miller's access badges are deactivated. Security will escort her off the aircraft upon landing. Zara nodded calmly, the orange stain on her blouse now a badge of honor. Jonathan, are you documenting the compliance timeline? Every detail, Dr. Washington. Ms. Hayes has 71 hours and 43 minutes remaining to implement the sensitivity training program. Dr. Kim looked up from his notes. This is fascinating from a behavioral economics perspective. You've created positive incentives for systemic change rather than simply punishing individuals. Punishment doesn't teach, Zara replied. Systems do. Tom Bradley was still processing the corporate implications. In 23 years of airline operations, I've never seen discrimination handled this efficiently. Usually, these cases drag through courts for years. Courts are for when corporate leaders refuse to lead, Zara said simply. Maya whispered to her live stream. 68,000 people just watched how to transform discrimination into systematic reform. This is how change happens in real time. The comments were flowing with a different energy now. She chose education over destruction. This is real leadership. Systematic change beats revenge. Orange juice will never be the same. Linda Santos, the corporate lawyer, was taking detailed notes. Dr. Washington, you've essentially created a template for discrimination response. Other companies will study this approach. Good, Zara said. The next person shouldn't need to own the supply chain to receive basic human dignity. Hayes approached cautiously. Dr. Washington, I've scheduled the bias training for next week. All crew members, including management, 8-hour sessions, mandatory attendance. Make it 12 hours, Zara corrected, and include scenarios specifically about assumptions based on race, class, and appearance. Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Jonathan's voice came through the phone speaker. Dr. Washington, Skyline Air's stock price has actually increased 2% since the live stream began. Investors are viewing the swift resolution as positive corporate governance. Tom Bradley shook his head in amazement. You turned a discrimination scandal into a stock price boost. The market respects accountability. Mr. Bradley, Zara said, would you be willing to serve on the independent monitoring board? Your industry expertise would be valuable. Tom straightened. It would be an honor, Dr. Washington. The plane shuddered slightly as landing gear deployed. Through the windows, Los Angeles sprawled beneath them, unaware that airline industry history had just been made at cruising altitude. Maya held her phone steady as the aircraft descended. Folks, we're about to land, but this story is just beginning. Dr. Washington has shown us how to use power for positive change. Bethany finally spoke, voice barely audible. Dr. Washington, I know sorry isn't enough, but I am. Truly. I let my prejudices hurt someone, and I'm ashamed. Zara looked at the young woman who had started this entire incident. Ms. Miller, shame is just the beginning. The question is what you do with it. I don't understand. You have a choice. You can hide from this moment, or you can learn from it. Use this experience to understand how discrimination feels. Become someone who prevents it instead of perpetuating it. Bethany wiped her eyes. How? Who would hire me after this? Community organizations need people who understand the real cost of prejudice. Consider volunteering with civil rights groups. Your story could help train others. Dr. Kim looked up from his notes. Restorative justice in action. Remarkable. The runway appeared beneath them, concrete and steel rushing up to meet the aircraft. But inside the cabin, something larger had been accomplished. Maya spoke to her live stream one final time before landing. 71,000 people witnessed something unprecedented today. A woman faced discrimination, held power, and chose education over destruction. She transformed a moment of hatred into systematic change. The wheels touched down with a gentle bump. Los Angeles International Airport. Journey's end. But for the airline industry, this was just the beginning. As the plane taxied to the gate, Hayes made an announcement over the intercom. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Skyline Air, I want to publicly apologize for the discrimination incident that occurred today. We are implementing immediate changes to ensure this never happens again. Dr. Washington, thank you for choosing accountability over destruction. The cabin erupted in applause again. Even ground crew visible through the windows were clapping, having watched the live stream on their phones. Zara stood up, an orange juice stain still visible on her white blouse. She had boarded this flight as a passenger. She was leaving as an agent of change. Jonathan, she said into her phone, please prepare a press release. Title it, How Orange Juice Became a Catalyst for Corporate Reform. The aircraft came to a complete stop at Gate 47B. The orange juice incident was over. The transformation it created was just beginning. Sometimes the smallest actions create the largest changes. And sometimes justice comes not from courts, but from courage. 6 months later, the transformation was measurable, undeniable, revolutionary. Skyline Air's discrimination complaints had dropped by 89%. Employee satisfaction scores reached industry highs. Customer loyalty ratings soared past competitors. The Orange Justice Protocol had become the gold standard for handling workplace bias incidents across the airline industry. Dr. Zara Washington stood in her TechFlow Industries boardroom, reviewing quarterly diversity reports. The white silk blouse from Flight 447 now hung framed in the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture, labeled Catalyst for Corporate Change 2025. Maya Chen had become the most watched civil rights journalist on social media. Her documentary Orange Justice, How One Flight Changed an Industry, was nominated for 3 Emmy Awards. The original live stream, archived at 73 million views, was now required viewing in business schools nationwide. These are real-life stories of change, Maya said during her TED Talk. Not a scripted drama, not corporate PR. Real people choose courage over comfort. Skyline. Air's transformation became a case study in touching stories of corporate accountability. Hayes completed her bias training and became a diversity advocate. She personally handled discrimination complaints with the precision of someone who understood the stakes. Bethany Miller found her path to redemption. She volunteered with the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, sharing her story at sensitivity training sessions. "I was the villain in someone else's story," she would tell audiences. "But Dr. Washington showed me I could choose to become something better." The ripple effects spread beyond aviation. 47 major airlines adopted similar zero-tolerance policies. The Federal Aviation Administration created a national discrimination reporting database. Other industries, hotels, restaurants, retail implemented Orange Justice protocols. Tom Bradley joined Meridian Capital as Chief Diversity Officer, bringing airline expertise to investment decisions. Dr. Washington proved that doing the right thing is also good business, he explained to financial magazines. The Black stories of resilience and transformation continued. Dr. Washington's approach became a template: document everything, use leverage wisely, choose systems change over individual punishment. 6 months after Flight 447, airline discrimination incidents had decreased industry-wide by 67%. The power of accountability, captured in real time, had transformed an entire sector. But the most important change was invisible: the passengers who now flew without fear of humiliation. The employees who understood that bias had consequences. The corporate leaders who realized that justice delayed was profit denied. Dr. Zara Washington's orange-stained blouse had become more than fabric. It was proof that ordinary moments could become extraordinary catalysts for change. Your turn. Have you witnessed discrimination that needed corporate attention? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience could be the catalyst someone else needs to find their voice. What would you have done in Dr. Washington's position? How can we create accountability in our own workplaces and communities? These real-life stories of courage and change happen every day, but they only create impact when people like you amplify them, share them, demand better from the institutions that serve us. Hit that subscribe button for Black Tale stories, because every story of injustice overcome is a story worth telling. Every moment of accountability achieved is a moment worth celebrating. Justice doesn't happen in isolation. It happens when ordinary people decide that discrimination stops with them. Share this video. Comment on your own experiences. Subscribe for more touching stories of resilience, courage, and change. Because sometimes the most powerful revolution starts with refusing to accept that's just how things are. Sometimes it starts with orange juice, and sometimes it starts with you.